Hi there! Welcome to another episode of Meet the Recruiter, our new podcast series that will present to you the people who are actually reviewing your job applications, selecting candidates for the first rounds of interviews, and playing an important role in the whole recruitment process. I just got back from a super interesting conversation with Raoul Tondini, the head of people and culture at the ECA, the European Club Association, and I invite you to watch this episode full of invaluable advice. If you like the content, please hit that like button, and if you want to be notified when we drop new videos, please subscribe. Quick reminder, the registration for the iWorkinSport job fair is now open. The job fair will happen in Lausanne, Switzerland on June 5th. And that's the place where you can meet recruiters from several top sports organizations face-to-face, including having actual job interviews. For more information, go to iWorkinSport.com/jobfair. WeWorkinSport community members have discounts for the job fair and other events. If you'd like to join for free, go to WeWorkinSport.com. All right, that's it. Now let's go to the episode. So, thank you very much for having me here at ECA. It's a quiet day here in the office today, but can only appreciate your inviting me. I'd like to ask you to start maybe giving us a summary of your career.
Yes, with pleasure, Joao. First of all, thank you for being here in Lyon. We are very happy to have you here. Very happy also maybe to provide some insights to our audience. So my name is Raoul Tondini. I have the following professional experience. I studied first in the Swiss insurance industry, and then moved to more, let's say, international environments where I spent a lot of years in a big tobacco multinational company.
Right.
I then spent almost 14 years in a Japanese company.
Okay.
And then since December 1st, 2022, I have joined the ECA, the sole body that is recognized by FIFA and UEFA, and who is representing the European football clubs.
Yeah, that's the European Club Association.
Yes.
Right. And your previous career was always in HR?
No, at the beginning, I was more in, I would say, in marketing environment, and suddenly, I mean, throughout the years, I was asking myself, but where do I really want to go? Where am I good at? And after a discussion with some people, there was always a topic coming back to say, look, you should work in the human resources. And this is what I did. I started my career in HR in this tobacco multinational company.
Mm-hmm.
I started really with I was not an HR person immediately, but there was a growing path.
Yeah.
And I was to be totally honest with you, I was managing the relocation of the expats of this multinational company.
Okay.
Then moved to another position where I was more, I would say, preparing the arrival of the expats in terms of work permit, schooling, and all these elements that the expats have to take care before they move to their next, I would say, assignment.
Right.
And then I became a compensation analyst, where here I really learned how important it is to have I would say, a good and comprehensive, fair salary structure.
Right.
It was really it was a 2-year assignment, but it was really a very helpful, I would say, experience.
Right.
For me.
Right. Right.
And then I moved to. I spent 1 year in the industrial group here in the area, in Lausanne area. And then I spent 14 years in a Japanese company where in the sector of the oral care industry.
And ECA is the first time that you're working more related to sport.
Absolutely.
Right.
Correct.
I have a question about, if there are differences about that. But just before we go talk about that, what did you study? I think university or something.
I did a bachelor in business and administration, and then I did a specific degree in HR. I also, but here it was more for my personal interest. I invested time in sport management as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Lausanne there was I don't know if it's still existing, but you have the IDEAP, Institut des Hautes Études d'Administration Publique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so this is what also I did.
Right. And so now you, as I said, we just started working in sport or in football specifically recently. Are there big differences that you notice? Not only I think working in HR, there's specificities that you find working in sport to others, or it's all very similar.
I think that you find always similarities, but if I have to highlight two things that were really new to me when I joined ECA, is first, it's a fast-paced environment.
Right.
If we focus only on football, I mean, football never stopped working.
Yeah.
Maybe at Christmas time,
Yeah.
but otherwise it never stops working. And here, in terms of
Not even sometimes we're on our holiday. There's something that we need to attend.
Yeah, and I see what you're referring to, but no, it's really it's 24 hours, seven days a week, and another thing maybe that it's not only specific to football, maybe more in sports in the streets. It's you work in I would say political context, and here maybe where diplomacy is more required, maybe in other industries.
And what about whenever I think of some differences of sport, maybe to several other industries, I think of obviously the unusual times of work of employees, for instance. Events happen on weekends, games at night, and all that kind of thing. Don't know if this is something in particular that you need to deal with that is different from previous work. And I imagine even in terms of hiring, the kind of the cyclical pace of sports, because you have big competitions like the Olympics or the Euros or the World Cup and things like that. And I imagine that a lot of employees kind of leave after a certain cycle, and there's a big batch of recruiting. Is that correct?
Well, if we talk about ECA, we don't organize sport events.
That's right, yeah.
We are more institutional events. Okay, we organize, but of course, you have irregular working hours. You travel, and this brings a challenge on the work-life balance and how you deal with that. It's clear that even though we organize institutional events, you have always last-minute changes or last-minute requests, and you really have to be flexible, resilient with ambiguity. This is something really important, and it's one of the traits that we look for when we hire candidates.
Of course. I mean, personally, for you that you've been working in human resources for so many years, what's it that attracts you the most? Or of working in this area?
What I like in HR is that it implies a lot of variety. Of course, you need some HR knowledge, but you need also psychological, legal, financial, compensation and benefit skills. So this is really you have a lot of variety in this function, I would say. In terms of recruitment or talent acquisition, I really like the idea of finding the right profile for my colleagues who are requesting additional resources, because in the end, they are my clients.
Yeah.
So I always try to do my best to find the right profile for them.
Right.
And that's a challenging part, because of course you take a risk when you hire someone. but I like this challenge.
Great. And maybe to wrap up this part, what are the main challenges that you identify in this area of HR at the moment? Is that something in particular?
I mean,
For instance,
yeah.
a couple of years back, we were dealing, obviously, there was COVID, and then when they were coming back, it was that great resignation happening. You know, I imagine that things are more or less back on track, but I don't know. So,
Well,
what are the main challenges you're facing now?
The challenges are there are several. First is to find the right talents, to attract them, to bring them on board, and of course, then is once they are here, and also our staff that is here, is to retain them and make them create a context where they can grow, when they can develop within ECA, and this is what we're trying to do as well. So to become really an attractive employer, that's something very important for us. And I can see from the number of candidates, the applications that we receive when we advertise a job, that we're getting more and more applications. So ECA is getting, I would say, attractive in the sport industry.
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of people that would love to work at ECA. I'm sure that you'll be hiring. Are you planning to hire much this year?
Well, I mean, I just give you a figure. Today we are 42 people, and
Here in Lyon.
here in Lyon, and we were, when I joined, we were 28. So you see, so we increased in a little bit more than 1 year. We increased of 50% the staff. There, of course, we are growing. We will have some more positions in the near future, but how much, how many we need, we really need also to assess.
Right. Okay.
Where we're going and how we go to our next destination.
Okay. Let me know when you know numbers, because then I'll keep everybody up to date whenever the opportunity is there. But specifically now for people that are currently looking for a job, or I want to touch as well on some things that regard people that are employed and maybe looking for a promotion or want to sort of renegotiate a salary in the near future or something like that, getting some advice from you on that.
Yeah, right.
I want to start very basically, right? I work with many students that are studying sports and masters, in particular, the FIFA program, but I'm invited to speak at events as well. And obviously the iWorkinSport audience. And it's funny that whenever I go and ask him, so what is it that they like to do? So if I ask them, what is it that you like to do once you graduate, for instance, they usually answer to me where they would like to work. So they don't really tell me sort of the role or what is it that they want to do, but some places in particular. I wanted to ask you, should they focus, on the employer whenever they say they're finishing their studies and starting maybe a first job in sport, or they should focus more on the role, and why?
Before I answer to this question, maybe it would be interesting to know why they focus on the where. Maybe because the employer did a great employer branding campaign. Could be an idea. I would like to answer you in a different way. I think, yes, where or the role are important, but with my experience, I think that everyone, not only students, you, me, or somebody else, we should focus on the context where you will be working. For instance, I give you an example. Do you prefer working in small or big structure, in a fast-paced environment, or administration, or what? You see what I mean? This is really something that people should take into consideration when they want to apply for a job in their career. That's something really important. I just give you an example. It's really if we take the football. for instance, you are good, you play football, and maybe you are more performing on the right side of the pitch instead of the left, right? And if you have a coach that wants you to play on the left, you might not be happy in this context here. But I mean, you know that you'll be performing and delivering more on the right side. So that's those things that I think people should take into consideration when looking for a job.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. When I was also framing the question, it also had a lot to do with sometimes people are not really clear. They say, take UEFA as an example. That is how my dream is to work there because of the Champions League or the Euros or something like it. But doesn't really matter what they're going to do. Is it going to be operation? Is it going to be marketing? Is it going to be sales? Is it doing whatever? And yeah, and I think that what you said is very valuable, because if they go in a team, as you said, and are put in a position where they don't perform well, or they don't enjoy to perform, perhaps, well, they certainly should take that into account.
Correct. But of course, I understand the students when they focus on the where, because if you take some sports organization, I mean, you have 3 or 4 letters that are really appealing and attractive. But I would more focus on the context.
Yeah.
But
and the ECA is becoming that.
Yes, exactly, and this is what we are aiming for. Is that people when they hear, they read, they see ECA, we want these 3 letters to become as attractive as possible.
Right. Thank you. One question that you probably hear a lot, right? I imagine that a lot of people or young people come to you say that they would like to work in football or in sport in general, but they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So what advice do you normally give them?
Well, first of all is maybe to clearly define your objectives, then really assess your skills and strengths. That's something really important, because a lot of people have passion for sport, for football, but unfortunately, it's not only that. When you want to hire someone, we need to take into consideration the skills, the competencies that the person will need to perform a job here at ECA. Yeah. But for sure, networking is very important. Maybe trying to find a connection within the sport companies is really important. Build a solid presence online. That's something very important to be
online. Where?
I would say LinkedIn mainly, and also keep abreast of what's going on in the sport landscape.
Yeah.
Because you might you don't know when, but you might have a knowledgeable discussion with someone who then might be interested in what you're saying or what you're doing as a candidate.
Sure, for sure. You mentioned skills, right? They need to have a right assessment of their skills. There are some tests to do that, so I recommend that people try some of those. There are several online. But I wanted to ask you, what do you think are the skills that are most in demand, by the industry at the moment?
I mean, I could not maybe speak generally for the sport industry, but maybe here for ECA.
Yeah,
but
please.
I mean, of course, you have what we call the hard skills, which is more technical knowledge, and then I can tell you more about soft skills, like people able to make an impact, hands-on, really proactive, people who are able to deal with the resilience, in an ambiguous environment, because it moves a lot. So these are the skills that we are looking for. Stress resistance as well.
Yeah.
So this is the skills that we are looking. Also in terms of languages, we look, of course, people who speak English and then have international or maybe other additional European languages.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, here at ECA, we are 42. We have 12 nationalities represented. and more than 20 languages are spoken here at ECA.
You mentioned, I mean, languages, for instance, is something that is probably easy to assess whenever you're interviewing someone or selecting a candidate. How do you measure? How can you identify people, if they are resilient or not, or they're proactive or not? I mean, I imagine that everybody writes that in their CV, on their cover letter. I'm very proactive, very resilient person, or super motivated.
Yeah.
I doubt that you ever received any CV when someone was not motivated, right? So how do you can sort of measure that as a recruiter?
Well, there are two things that we measure during a recruitment. Is first that we always do a business case with candidates when they come here. It's usually on the second interview because they've been shortlisted. We ask them to do a business case. Then we give them a certain time, and then okay, they have to prepare a business case.
Right.
And also during the discussion we have with the candidates, we ask them to give us some examples of when they demonstrated some competencies or skills in their previous career.
Cool. You also mentioned networking, right? I think that's super important. How should they approach networking in your view? Please also consider, people that are not working in sports yet, because obviously someone who already work in sport or has worked, made already some contacts there, but say someone that's really wants to enter that industry, how do you think they should approach networking?
Well, first of all, I would say that networking is a long-term process because it's not okay. Today I talk to you, and then you are part of my network, and on the following day, it's really an ongoing process, I would say. So whenever you are in touch with someone, maybe later you thank the person for the discussion. Maybe you can share some articles that could be of interest or topics, right? With the person. Also, maybe attend sports events or maybe job fairs.
Right.
That's one way of I would say creating your network. One thing that also could be interesting is to participate or volunteer for some internship or that are advertised in some sport companies. This is something that really helps building the network.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you also mentioned, the online presence and on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I think it's a great way to network there too. How, what about people that are identifying kind of recruiters? So if they find you on LinkedIn, is there a way for them to connect with you that, I mean, would be well received? I imagine that you probably wouldn't enjoy if I just applied for a job there, and it sometimes may feel that they want to cut the corners and contact the recruiters because they're applying. But as you said, maybe networking is not only for when you're looking for that job in particular. It's a longer term process. So should they, do you think, contact recruiters in general or not?
Depends. For instance, if the candidate has sent the application and right after send a message via LinkedIn, you need to understand that an HR or a recruiter receives a lot of applications. Not only when jobs are advertised, but also spontaneous application. But so far, Joao, I have to tell you that I didn't receive so many messages via LinkedIn. I try to answer to them as much as possible. But again, here we have to find a balance between the time that we have and maybe to be able to answer to our candidates.
You know, one very important piece of the application process for someone to enter or start working is that the formal application that always has the CV as the main piece. And I get a lot of requests to give advice on CVs, and I'm not an expert, but you see loads of CVs every day. I'd like you to maybe share with the audience what is it that you look for in a candidate's resume or CV? A few things that must be there, and maybe a few things that shouldn't be there.
Well, first of all, I would like to say that just as I mentioned, we receive a lot of CVs, a lot of applications. So maybe the candidates should understand that, in average, a recruiter spends at first sight maybe 15 seconds to go through the CVs, right?
Right.
And so.
Do you have the ATR here, automated ATS tracking system?
Not yet. We are considering to have one. We are working on something like this.
So far, it's all manual. Every CV that comes.
Yeah, and this is why also when I was hired is to bring some more modernity in our processes. But what I look at when I look at CVs, I look first of all the clarity, the years of experience. Because if I see someone who has changed every 1 or 2 years, could be problematic. You understand why the person changes. The goal of the application, and maybe also what the competencies that are highlighted in the document. So that's something I really take a look.
Right. Do you have, if you were to give 3, say, power tips, say, do this and this and this, do you have those?
It's well, first of all, it has to be maximum 2 pages.
Okay.
Maximum. That's but then it's.
I received one that was 17 pages once.
Okay.
But
did you read it until the end?
No.
You see, so no, it's 2 pages max, but it has to reflect who you are. First of all, who you are really. Then I would say highlight the objective of your application and also the competencies. That's something really important, and of course showcase your competencies and also your language skills. That's something really important.
Is it important to have an opening, say, statements at the beginning of the CV? Do you think that helps, or just a record of the things that you've done in the past? It's enough.
It depends on the position you are applying for. For instance, if we take finance function, okay, people would maybe put their achievements. For instance, have increase of 10% turnover. It really depends on functions, because sometimes you have for HR maybe marketing, you need maybe to elaborate a little bit more. So it really depends on the functions you're applying for.
Maybe what advice would you give to someone that is changing career, transitioning? So imagine someone has more experience in a different field, and sometimes they come and do a master's exactly because they want to change. I'll give an example. Back then, I was a journalist before, so experienced in communications. But when I came to Europe and did my master's, I actually didn't want to work as a journalist anymore, and I wanted to pivot. I had some experience, working experience, but not much. But not in that particular area. How can someone, make that change, or show to the recruiter that they are capable to do something else, even if they don't have that particular experience?
It's an interesting question, because it happened to me. I was in the insurance industry and marketing, and then moved to HR. I would say that maybe if For me, it was starting low in a position that was, of course, HR related, but it was a kind of low entrance, let's say, if you allow me this expression. And then I have invested a lot of time in training, education, to be able to be at speed. And but of course, I also had the chance via my work, via my dedication, via my commitment, to be noticed by some people, and then they gave me the chance of joining the real HR afterwards.
I wanted to ask you also about the cover letter.
Yeah.
And because sometimes I've seen people pretty much repeating their CV in the cover letters, but just in a written way. So you can see in the CV what they did. And then the cover letter is almost like, yeah, I did this and I did that. And as I said, I'm very motivated and I did this and this and that. Is it the right way to write the cover letter? What's the purpose of the cover letter if you already have the CV? And recruiters actually pay much attention to that, you think?
It's the question. Maybe it's maybe important that to say that when you send a cover letter in the CV, maybe it has to be tailor-made, and having in mind the objective of whom you want to reach. Okay. For instance, I can give you an example of someone who, when this person was looking for a job, she was using the exact color or the exact font of the company she was applying for. So just to tell you how much she was tailoring the CV and the cover letter.
Is that a good advice? Is that should they do that?
Could be. I never did it, to be totally transparent with you, Joao, but it's a nice way to stand out, right? In terms of cover letter,
for instance, if you receive a CV kind of greenish with ECA fonts, that is, I mean, what is the message that they gives you? It's basically someone that is paying attention, sort of, to details.
Sure, paying attention to details. Someone who also maybe demonstrate a bigger motivation to join us, and also that this person did some research. That's really maybe this tells me these three things.
Right.
Now coming back to your question about the cover letter, I think that, of course, people, they say they are motivated, which is fine, but most of the cover letters say what people have done in the past, but what I'm looking for also is what they can do for us in the future.
They need to understand the problem that they're going to come and solve, you think?
Absolutely. And this is a principle that I read one time coming from Steve Jobs. He was saying he was not really interested of what the person did in the past, but he was interested in what the person could do for the company in the future. Maybe this is something that is lacking in most of the cover letters.
Right. So the CV pretty much tells your past story, what you did, what you achieved.
Yeah.
And the cover letter is for you to actually state the difference that you're going to make once you join the company.
Absolutely. And maybe this is something that you should focus during the interview, making the link of what you did and what you can do for the company and what kind of competencies you could bring.
Yeah, the interview is the next step, right? They need to pass that CV phase and be able to impress you or the recruiters, so they are invited for the interview. Actually, I want to talk about that. Just before I go, maybe one or two questions about CV, because also people ask me a lot, should I add a picture to the CV or not? It depends in the country that you're applying, or
well, yeah, it depends.
How do you view it here? Would you prefer that people send the CVs with a picture or not?
For me, it's not that important. I know that in some countries, I mean, you don't put picture to avoid discrimination and so, which is a good thing, because at the end you assess the person and the competencies that the person has and that can bring to the company.
Right. Well, in terms of interviews, then we mentioned about that. What would be your advice to people that if they were coming for an interview with you?
First, be yourself. That's don't try to play a role. That's something really important. Not to overdo, because I mean, if you for instance don't know an answer, okay, don't try to speak and broaden it as a topic in which you don't know the answer. So that's
Right.
so I really prefer candidates say, look, I'm not able to answer to this question, sorry, and okay, fine. I like this honesty. It's really much appreciated. Then one thing that's really important, Joao, for candidates is to know your CV by heart. Still today, during interviews, I have candidates who don't know their CV by heart.
Really?
Yes, I mean they make mistakes on the dates, or and really you have to know it by heart. Your presentation here at ECA, I always ask the candidates to introduce themselves for 5-10 minutes, because I want to see if the person is able to do that within a short time, and also to be able to go straight to do the points, and also be able to make the link between what you did and what you could do. So this means that you must know the job description well, okay, that we have advertised. That's something really important, I would say.
Cool.
Also, I would like to say something. People think that interview, okay, it's always on one way. We ask question, you answer, okay. What we try to do here is more discussion, like we are having here today, you and I. It's more in a discussion, interaction, so that I want the candidate to be really at ease during the interview, because the more the candidate is at ease, the better or maybe the more the person will tell me about himself or herself, and that's very important.
Right. Do you do here? Is the first interview online,
Yes.
and then you have a second one in person?
Absolutely.
In general,
We first interview on via Teams, online, and then if you are shortlisted, then we ask the candidates to come for a second or even a third interview.
Any advice for people doing interviews online specifically?
Make sure that you will be you are in a quiet place, because and that you are not bothered by noises or someone entering the room or whatsoever. So that's really
You have a good connection.
Yeah. Also, maybe do some testing before. So that's maybe my advice.
And what advice do you give when it comes to, say, negotiating a compensation package before signing a contract? Say that you then send someone an offer, and normally people just take it. It's whenever an offer is made. I'm asking about ECA, but as per your experience, perhaps elsewhere as well, is it you either take it or leave it, or normally there's room to negotiate, perhaps not in the salary, but there's a few other things that you can discuss. How does that work?
Well, the negotiation process is a normal, but at the same time very important part of the recruitment process. So you need to be I would say strategic on that aspect. This said, I would recommend the candidates to first to do some research on the market salary. That's something you can do online or on the internet. Then you should know your worth. That's something very important. And I would not only focus on the salary, but consider the whole package, because maybe the company has salary, they have a bonus, they have benefits, they have perks. that if you put that all together, can make a very competitive package for the candidate. So maybe that's the advice I would give to candidates, because maybe the company, I'm not talking about ECA, but maybe in general, has little margin of maneuver for the salary, but maybe they are more flexible on the benefits and perks.
So, Raoul, what are the emerging trends in the sports sector nowadays?
Maybe I can talk of ECA and maybe
Yeah.
speak more generally, but I mean, we for sure at ECA, women's football is a trend. It's really developing, and we just hired someone to help our head of women's football to support the growth of this sector. I think that it's not only for football, but the next trend is data
Data.
analytics. This is something really important for sports in general, and here also as well. This is something that we plan to have in the future to help our clubs.
Yeah.
Another topic that is very important and emerging is sustainability.
Right.
Social responsibility, sustainability. We created last year a department here at ECA, a sustainability department. We have 2 persons working for that specific department. Of course, health and well-being. That's something also really important. Now, if we take the trend in a more general aspect, of course, sport and management administration is something really important. You have also everything related to legal and compliance. That's also something really trendy at the moment.
Right. Ro, when we're talking about maybe the first 5 years of someone that just started a career, what advice do you normally give to professionals that are just starting their jobs? I mean, to focus on what they should do to make sure that they have a good progression.
I think it's like in any industry. First, I mean, it's gaining experience, getting familiar with the environment where you started working, developing skills, maybe thinking of pursuing other trainings, certification, qualifications. That's really something important in this maybe in this first 3 to 5 years of working experience.
And how does the ECA in particular support maybe their employees or with that, maybe training or something like that? Is there a plan in place?
Well, we are working on this at ECA. As I mentioned before, when I arrived, we did a big project which was reviewing all the, I would say, compensation practices. Now we are working on creating and implementing a competency grid, a career ladder, to better help our staff to position themselves in their current job and current grade, and then based on this competency grid, then of course we assess our staff against these competencies, and we find where there is maybe a gap, where there is a need of training, and then we provide training for our staff on this. I mean, but of course, whenever we have a person coming to us and say, look, I would like to do this specific training, and the person comes out, why I want to do that? What is the return on investment?
Okay.
What are the expected results of this? Then of course we take it into consideration for sure.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So now we're talking about someone that is already working here or in another company in general, and they passed the transition, the CV, the application, they're hired, and they've been there for a couple of years, maybe 3, 4, and they start feeling that they deserve a promotion.
Yeah.
And sometimes, promotions just come. You're You're surprised. Someone say, "Hey, would like you to do something else," but sometimes it doesn't, and you kind of feel that you want to have that discussion. How should someone do that? Do you have any advice? Do they go to HR first? They go to the boss first? To their boss first?
Well, promotion is a very important process in the company, and you need to approach it very, I would say, carefully, and to have a good structure in your head when you want a promotion. Well, there are I would say two scenarios. Well, you mentioned the one that where the company has seen that you are a good performer and that you deserve a promotion. But there are some other scenarios, like someone coming to you and say, "Look, I want a promotion," and okay, fine. But why you want the promotion? No, it's really important to come and say, "Okay, today I'm here. I've been working 3 years in the same position. I think that I deserve a promotion for several reasons." Okay, you need really to be prepared to when you want a promotion. You need to explain why you deserve a promotion, what you can do in your next position, what you can bring to the company. So that's really something really important.
Very good, very good. Do they need to? Can they go and do that even without looking elsewhere? Or because sometimes people think, oh, I need to sort of pressure my employer by, maybe having an offer from someone else or something like that. Or they can simply, if they can prove that, listen, I've been doing this, maybe sometimes not even I deserve because I've been here for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. It's because you can show that you can do more, perhaps. Um,
I think that you don't get a promotion only because you've been here 5 years. Okay, you need to demonstrate what you and showcase what you can do. But for instance, sometimes employers, generally speaking, okay, they are not able to give you promotion immediately, but because maybe you are lacking experience, because you are lacking competencies, or there are some skills missing, but they believe in you. They know that you can perform well and you can reach a higher grade or higher level. And what they do is they put in place a development plan.
mhm.
And this is also something that ECA is working on, is to make sure that within maybe 12, 18, 24 months, we bring this person up to speed for this new position, and then we can promote her.
Okay, okay. For those, say, working in sports or particular, maybe starting, what do you think are the main challenges that they face working in sports?
Well, one of the challenges is the environment. I mean, it goes so fast. It's as I said, it never sleeps in a certain way. So getting used to that pace is really a challenge. Then is understanding, of course, the environment, because as I said at the beginning of this discussion, it's highly political. So you need to understand that. These are maybe the two challenges, main challenges for someone new in the industry.
Yeah, we think a lot of traveling. I think there's a lot of people from ECA that was, I think, in Dubai even this week, and
In Doha, yeah,
and Doha,
right,
sorry. Um, and obviously there's a lot of travels for competitions and congress and all that. And the working hours are sometimes crazy, as I said, with games at night and all that. Um, how then someone find a work-life balance working in sport? Is it possible?
Well, work-life balance is one thing really important for an employer. I have to say, it's a responsibility here in Switzerland. Okay, you have, because legally you need to protect I would say, the integrity of our staff. But then, of course, when it comes to sport industry, I think you have to be disciplined, and sometimes say, okay, we now you have to put clear boundaries, and be disciplined to do some breaks. When I do a break, I do a break. Okay, and this is really something very important. Try to find good quality time with friends and family, if possible, and use all the holiday entitlement that you have to rest and come back refreshed. That's something really important.
Cool. We're getting to the end. I just have a few more questions, and I'm trying to think. Has obviously to do with work-life balance, because that is probably what will allow someone to have a long career in whatever that they're doing. What is then your advice? Now you're working in this environment that is very fast-paced. What should people working in sport, let's say, focus on to have a successful long-term career, in your point of view?
It's a difficult question to answer, Joao, because what is a successful career? First,
Good point.
Is it okay? You reach the top, or maybe you are able to have a good good work-life balance, and so it really depends. But I think that always enjoy your environment, the job where you are currently working. Always be curious.
Yeah.
Read, even if it has nothing to do with sport, but keep reading, keep being curious. Flexibility, technology.
Yeah.
There are a lot of elements that we could mention on this, but try to be curious, maybe, and read things and enjoy.
Yeah, but you raise a very interesting point as well, which is the environment that we are in, which I find super exciting. To be frank, I think nowadays, I love even more the environment, working in sport, than sometimes the sport itself. In a sense, I feel that I watch much less, say, football or other sports than I used to before. When you're when you're a kid, the Korea national team by heart, that's going to play in the World Cup because of the Panini albums and all that.
Absolutely.
And watch all types of games. And now, it's funny. I really like I think the big thing that why I think it's a successful career work in sports is because you are able to do that and maybe travel for work. Right? Was in Saudi Arabia a few weeks ago. Going to Egypt now. Was in Miami not so long ago, and finding so many sort of interesting people that it's first, as you said, you probably need to define what is success for you.
Yeah.
And then if you enjoy that type of environment, probably, just by doing it, you'll end up being successful, I would say.
Yeah, because you mentioned the childhood when you remember all the names of the team members. You remember maybe the goals scored and during World Cup, and that's really something. I'm really connected to you on this, and now we are behind the scene of the event, and that's and you contribute to the development of the sport industry, and this is really grateful, I say.
That's right. Listen, I'm going to wrap up very soon, Raoul. But one last topic that I wanted to discuss with you is education. Right?
Yeah.
And I would like to ask you, what's the importance of formal education nowadays for someone that wants to pursue a career in sport?
Well, formal education is really important because it's your starting point for a professional career. But I would not bet my career only on formal education, meaning that personality is important, skills are important, experience that you have gained during your I would say working years. I mean, it's really important as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very, I think, honestly, because what role does it play when people apply and they have, for instance, a master's degrees of one of these sort of the top programs, and there's another candidate with also very good CV, but doesn't have that particular qualification. How important is that sort of in a selection for an interview or something? Is it possible to measure, or is it case by case?
Of course, it will depend on the position you are applying for. It depends on companies. Sometimes there are some companies that are really focused on on which school you graduated from. Some others are more maybe focused on the experience that you have. So it really depends. Really depends. It's
Sometimes a big benefit of those programs, in addition to the academic part, is actually the networking part as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's something to take into account. And I think that the last one is still thinking about education. So what advice do you give if someone says to you, "Oh, I'm thinking of taking a course A, B, or C. It could be a short term or long term, online or in person." If someone asks you if you were to give some advice regarding education or investing in education, what would you say?
Well, first of all, I would congratulate the person because I think it's a huge step forward in his or her mindset. Because it shows that the person is ready to challenge himself or herself and want to gain some additional knowledge on this. I would say this person that maybe to consider either long-term, short-term, or online courses for sure, and check when the education takes place. What is the goal of this education? I mean, to really consider what is the goal and what you can do of this afterwards. That's really something important. Also, it's a good way of networking, education. But what I'm saying, of course, when you attend a training, there's a group, you increase your network. But at the same time, it's a good way of networking before registering for a training, because nowadays with our social media, you can, or LinkedIn, just to give an example, you can look who this person did that training that you want to do as well. And you can get in touch, say, look, I'm planning to attend this training. Can you give me some advice? Do you recommend it or not? That's another way of creating a network. And finally, at the end, to have a look at the price and the return on investment. So that's something really important. One thing I would like to say, in addition to that, it's maybe that the training that the person will choose, will be good for this person, but not good for me or for you, right? So it's really personal. But these are maybe the general advice, pieces of advice that I can give to that person.
That's great. That's great, Raoul. Listen, I can't thank you enough. I think before we wrap up, I want to ask you: is there anything that I should have covered that I didn't, that we didn't ask? Any maybe last piece of advice that you would like to share? Anything about the ECA in particular, or?
Well, I think we covered all the topics, and I was very happy to have you here in our offices here in Nyon. In terms of ECA, I mean, we have a big project. We want to be the voice of the European football clubs, and we have almost 500 club members, so that we are growing a lot.
Excellent.
And we hope it will continue.
and they're all professionalizing more and more. So
Yes.
I expect that all of them also will be wanting to hire more and more qualified people speaking all types of languages. And
absolutely, we have since I joined, we have received a lot of applications, high caliber applications, and this is maybe what we are very happy to hire people, but sometimes we have to make some decisions, and that's it. Sometimes these decisions are difficult.
Yeah.
And but that's part of our job.
But well, listen, thank you so much. Congratulations for the job that you're doing here at
Thank you,
ECA.
Joao.
The job that ECA is doing, I think it's fantastic. The way that they're growing, the way that they're structured. There are many challenges there in the horizon, but I think that they're dealing with them quite well with the whole football family.
Yeah.
And yeah, congratulations to the whole ECA and
Thank you.
to you in particular.
I will convey the message, Joao. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Joao.
Very much.
It was nice having you.
Bye-bye, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I always forget. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button or subscribe to the channel. Get our alerts, and we'll be coming back with a new episode soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.